send you, if you're watching this thing, I will send you a CD for free. Just send me your address, or just put your name in the comments, your address, or you probably don't want to do it on Facebook. Just send me a DM, and I will send you a CD. Eat at Days, Get Better Eggs is how you remember that the strings are tuned E-A-D-G-B-E. D-G-B-E. Which is a bit nicer than what one of my students told me. I think it was Omani many years ago. He said, oh, you could also remember Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. My friend Quinn told me that she heard that one as Elvis ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. But in any case, you know. Okay. Now you're ready to, we're going to transform that fretboard into the game board. Look at that. That's what we're going to play Dr. Zollatti's guitar game on, is my Dr. Zollatti's guitar game board. And that's the end of the guitar tuning lesson. Let's go to, okay, this is going to be in 4 parts. This is going to get into the weeds a little bit, but if you follow this, then the geometry of the fretboard becomes really manageable. It's almost perfectly even. 5 click, think of it as peg clicks. I made this as a pegboard. 5 pegs up this way is 1 peg up the other way, except for that one spot. And if you can just, it's like a fault line. Just if you can learn to adjust as you go across that short jump, then you be rocking. Okay, so step 1, we're gonna plant a root note. Like if we're playing the game, we're gonna put a root note on any fret that is one of the caged spots. On the piano, there's only one way to go up. You go from left to right, that is up. But on the piano, on the guitar, here, that's of G to C is 5 half steps. You can count them. 2, 3, 4, 5. On the guitar, there's actually 2 ways to go up. That is going up like from the lower frets to the higher frets. I'm showing it from top to bottom here, but it's like when you're going like this on the fretboard. It's just, I've got this little diagram oriented with the game board here, which is the same orientation as when you're reading chord symbols, so that's why I put it like that. Anyways, you go up this way to go up, but that's to get to higher frets, but you also go this way up to get to higher strings. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. So remember, from the low E, it took us 5 frets to get to the same low A as the next open string. Those are the same A. So let's go back to E plus 3 equals G. If G up to C is 5 half steps, right? Then to go from G to C on the same string, it's 5 frets. But you could also stay on the same fret and go up 1 string, because remember, 5 is the almost magic number. As long as you're not dealing with that short jump, wherever you are, if you go up 5 frets, it's going to get you to the same place as moving over a string on the same fret. Okay, look at that. Up 1 string equals up 5 frets. Usually. Okay, so this works. Let's go to this B. A plus 2 equals B. Up 5 half steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, takes us to E. So we can see that by... Okay, as before, we go up 1 string equals up 5 frets. It's just 2 ways to get to the same note. Usually. But why usually? Well, to answer that question, we got to go to the second part of lesson 8. Okay, so plus 5 equals A, plus 5 equals D, plus 5 equals G, but plus 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. G plus 4, as you can see on the keyboard down below there, it's G plus 4 equals B. Only 4 half steps from G to B. Sorry, that's just the way it is. Okay? Why is that the way it is? Let's go to part 3 of this lesson. The short jump. It's only +4 to equal 1 up. Or I call it the weird spot. Or sometimes I call it jumping the chasm, or the fault line, because everything just kind of has to shift up one there. Or the bump up. You got to bump up. What does this mean for our almost perfect grid? Well, let's look at all of our +5 jumps for all of the root notes encaged. So G up to C, dun, 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 dun. You can go straight across from one to the next. One string to the next on the same fret up one string. Okay, let's do the same thing from an E to an A. E, A. By the way, up 5 half steps sounds like Here Comes the Bride. It's called a fourth. Don't ask me why it's called a fourth, and it's actually 5 half steps. Well, I mean, you can ask me why, but not now. There's a good reason for it, but just know that bum, 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 up 5 half steps sounds like Here Comes the Bride, or Oh Christmas Tree, or The Beginning of Star Wars. Da, 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 da. Okay, same fret, up one string once again. Okay, D up to G is also 5 frets, so 5 half steps, so same place. Okay, same fret, up one string. B up to E, start there, look at there, same fret, up one string. Dun, 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 dun. And A up to D, dun, 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 dun. Same fret, up one string. But look what happens if we try to take that A to D and jump it across from a G string to a B string. Let's look at that cool animation again. Can we see that again in slow motion, Jack? What? From the G string to the B string, we've got to go up one. Note to self, those are a little bit off. Okay, I got to make a little note here. If you knew the amount of time that I spent making sure my animations were perfect. What is this? We in 8C, G string to B string is wiggling. See that little wiggle there? That will not do. Okay, so let's go back here. Let's go back and see that cool animation again. So we got A to D. Here comes the bride. Let's get in the right key, actually. Here comes the bride. A up to D. Same fret up a string, unless we're talking about the G. It's up an octave now. G up to B. A up to D. Crossing the G string to the B string. Okay, we go up one string and up one fret. It's not on the same fret now. And that's to make up for the short jump that was only 4 instead of the normal 5, like all the other string jumps. Okay, if you get that picture right there, take a picture of that in your mind's eye or with your camera or something. If you can grok this frame right here, you will unlock the geometry of the fretboard. Right there. Okay, it's the short jump. Okay, one more in the key in this. Okay, so chapter 8, part 4, why the short jump? But why? Why not just let it be normal the whole way? Why not just let the G string go up 5 like the rest of them? It'd be so much easier. Well, guess what? Then it wouldn't be tuned. Eat at Dave's, get better eggs. That B would up. The G plus 5 was not B. The G plus 5 is a C, and it would be eat at Dave's, get corn, and then that bumps the other one up. Flakes. Eat at Dave's, get cornflakes. Okay, why would we want it to be eat at Dave's, get better eggs instead of eat at Dave's, get cornflakes? This would be a nightmare when it comes time to learn about how on the guitar we create, dun, dun, drum roll please, chords. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Okay, so we're going to build the E chord from scratch on the guitar, and then you're going to see why if we had that totally consistent +5 equals 1 up, Eat at Dave's, get cornflakes. Why this, what is about to follow would be just really, really hard. Okay, so here we are. We've got the E major chord, 1, 3, 5, as we showed back in chapter whatever. I should know which chapters are which by now, but it's been a blur. Okay, so there's our E, that low E, right? That's fine. We can just leave that where it is. We don't have to mess around with that because that is part of the E chord. But look at so our chord chart, we show that lowest string being played open with a little open sign there, that little circle. That means you pluck that string without pressing down any fret. You're going to hear that word a lot, open. That means an open string. But look at what the next string is. The A string is not part of the E chord. We have to move that string up as little as possible to find one of these notes that are part of the E major chord. So let's see. Well, if we go up 1 fret, 1/2 step, that's a B flat. Nah, that ain't part of it. Sorry. But guess what? If we go up another 1/2 step, that takes us to B. And guess what? That is part of the E major chord. It's the 5. It's not the 3. It actually goes from 1 and the next string is 3. And it looks like that when we put it on our chord chart. Okay. Now let's try the D string. How's the D string? No, D's not part of an E chord. So we have to make it part of the E chord. Well, 1/2 step up takes us to E flat. Close, but not quite. If we go up another 1/2 step, there we go. And E is part of the E chord. It's another root note. It's another 1. Okay, so we put it there in our chord symbol. Okay, got to go over to the next. Okay, so let's look at the G. Oh, that's close, but not quite. So how do we make the G into that G sharp that's part of the chord? We move it up 1/2 step. Look down there on the keyboard, G up to G. 1/2 step is G sharp, so that means G up 1 fret is G sharp. And looky there. Anybody that's played guitar chords recognizes that as the E chord. And that's why. Now you know why. Oh, last 2 strings are easy because leave that one alone, play it open as shown there. And then same way with the E. It's another root note, so we can leave that one where it is. And there you go. There is your E major chord. Do, sol, do, mi, sol, do. In case you want to start some ear training, let's get that. Make sure we got an E there. Do, sol, do, sol. I'm trying to fret it with one finger here. Sol, do, mi, sol, do, do, sol, do, mi, sol, do. And that's why an E major chord on the guitar looks like that. If you wanted to play those notes as shown on the piano below, you'd actually be playing the notes the way that they would be strummed on the guitar. Look at there. All right, and that's your E chord. Let's do the same thing. Oh, a thought experiment. There is more to this one. This is really getting in the weeds here, but see if you can follow that. As a little thought experiment, imagine if the grid was all nice and even and it was always +5, even with the G string, right? Eat at Dave's, get cornflakes. Okay, well, your pinky would need to be twice as long to get that C string up to one of the E notes, the E major notes, E, G sharp, or B. So we'd have to reach up 4 to get that one to an E, and then we'd have to move that one up 3 to get to a G sharp, and that's what your E chord would look like to the right there, if we had the consistent tuning. The non-standard tuning, just to make it a simple grid, but your pinky would need to be twice as long, and you'd probably need to grow another one, as I noted at the bottom there. So, yeah, we just have that little short jump, and at the end of the day, it's better. Okay, and that's the end of that Okay, let's go to chapter 10 now. Good grief, we're flying through these. And this is how we build the A chord. Well, same thing. We're going to race through these because now it's just the same thing. Our A major chord, let's get the key of A in our mind. A, C sharp, E. We need to make every one of these strings sound like an A C sharp, and E. Now, we're not going to, even though the E string is part of the A chord, we're not going to play it because we want to have the root note at the bottom. So, yeah, sorry. We're just going to put an X on that one. We're not even going to play that one when we strum it. We're going to start on that low A. Okay, and we'll just leave it there. So that's how it looks like on the guitar symbol. We put an X for the string we don't play. We put an O for the string that we play without fretting it. Okay? Boom, boom, boom. We won't even play that one. Okay, let's look at the next string. The D string, well, it's not part of the A chord, but if we move it up, not 1 to E flat, but 2 to E, then it is part of the A chord. Dun, dun, dun. Put it there. The G is not part of the A chord, but we can move it first up to G sharp, getting closer, and then another fret up 2 frets is an A, so that's part of it. We'll put it there. And I'm glad they're loading fast. Okay, we got E major. Wait a second. I might have messed up. This is a repeat. Okay, I might have found my first big gaffe. Let's see. Just racing through all again. Okay, so did we get that far on the last one? We are in. That's weird. Okay, so let me. Okay, note to self. 10B is actually 10A. Gotta fix it. That's the biggest typo yet. Okay, but you get the idea. It's you kind of see where we're going with this. Oh, so now, but unfortunately, that kind of is the setup here. Okay, so there's the E shape that we just made on the left side. There's the A shape that we would have made on the right side had we had the second half of the last lesson. So, and notice they both go do, so, do, mi, so, do, so, do, mi, so. Let's do it in key of E. Do, so, do, mi, so, and do, so, do, mi, so. It's relatively the same in the E chord and the A chord, but notice that the shapes are different. Why in the world would this mi land on the first fret in the E shape, but on the second fret in the A shape? Well, I'll bet you some of you actually figured that out already, but I wanted to make a cool... Oh, give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That was 5 fast seconds, sorry. Time's up. Okay, you might have figured this out, but I'm going to show you my fancy little animation here, just because I'm very proud of it. Remember, the fretboard is an almost perfect grid. Any shapes that you get, whether they're scales or chords, you can move that whole thing up and down freely. Or you can also move it side to side, but look, anytime something in your shapes cross over that chasm, you gotta bump it up 1 to make it relatively the same, if that makes any sense. You gotta bump up 1 fret for whatever part of your shape jumps across the G to the B string as you're moving things around. And why is that? Let's go to here and find out. Because remember, the G to the B string is the short jump, dun, 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 the fault line, the weird spot, the chasm. You have to bump up 1 fret to make up for the short string jump, going up from G to B, and vice versa when you go over the other direction, like if you're moving things down across that chasm. Whew, that's a lot, I know, but if you get, just like I said before, if you just can follow that one thing, watch it over and over and over, let it sink in, then you've basically unlocked the geometry of the guitar, and the world is yours. And with that, let's build the D chord. Okay. Dun, 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 D, D. Let's get a D. D, F sharp, A, dun, 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 1, 3, 5, D, F sharp, A. So we're gonna start with the lowest root string, that open D, so we're not gonna play the E or the A this time. So X on that one, X on that one, and O on the open D string. And then we only have 3 more left. So G is obviously not part of the D chord, but if we go up not 1 to G sharp, but up 2 to A, then we have the 5 of that chord. Look at there. And what do we do for the B string? Oh, this is actually the first time. Oh yeah, forgot we have to put it on our chord symbol there. Oh, let's go to part 2. The B string. This is the first time where we can't get away from with just going up 1 B to C, or even 2 B to C sharp, but we need to go up 3 half steps. B plus 3 is D, and that is the root of the D chord. So that looks like that on our chord symbol. And then, did I just do that? I think I might have had some repeats there. Yes. Okay, so D, and this is B to D duplicates, so we gotta take those out of there. Oh, not too many typos yet, but it's still annoying. Okay. Let's see. E string, how can we get to a D chord note? Well, we can go up 1 fret to F to get us closer, but we have to go up 2 frets to get to F sharp. Yay, and we'll put it right there. And there is our D chord, or the D shape. Do, let's see what the key of D sounds like. Do, sol, do, mi, do, sol, do, mi, on the guitar and the keyboard. Hooray! All right, let's go to, just like the E to A had to morph, let's see what happens when we do our A shape, moving it over, everything over, up a string, as it were, to a D shape. Well, we can move that A shape up and down like we did before, and we don't have to change anything. But if we move it left to right, look at that do at G plus 2, when we scoot it over to keep the same note pattern, we got to bump it up. And so there you go. There's your A shape going to your D shape. Let's do it once more. Going back and forth here. A shape morphs to the D shape because of the short jump. You got to bump up 1 fret to make up for the +4 short jump, and vice versa, yet again. Okay. Okay, a couple more chords to build. Let's do the G chord. G major, as you might remember, 1, 3, 5. 1, 1, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, G, B, D. Okay, that open G is actually not the lowest root note. So we're going to go actually back down here to E plus 3 equals G on that low string. And we're going to get back to playing all 6 strings again. So look at how we show that. We put it on the 3rd fret of our chord symbol on that string. And then, well, we got to go A plus 2 equals the B. Yeah. And then the D plus, oh, actually, we don't have to go D plus anything because D is part of the G chord. Kind of getting ahead of myself here, so we'll make that open. And then, of course, the G is part of the G chord, so we'll just leave that one alone. And then B is also part of the G chord, so we'll leave that one alone. And then the last string E, well, E plus 3 was G down below, so